What's going on, everybody? Thumbs up if you can see me and hear me. What's up, Lynn? Great to see you. We got Jeff T in the house. We got Justin, big smile. We got David. We got Claude. We got Ulrich. Looks like you're huddled up there in that blanket, Ulrich. I hope you feel better. We got Robert Limp in the house. Robert Bourne. We got Irakli there. We got Ellie looking good in the wife beater. I like that. Ryan Naylor, one of our investment club members, is chilling. And look, folks, we're looking forward to getting this started. How many people are excited by the rebranding of Twitter to X? Come on, put your hands up if you're feeling this. Come on, X going to give it to you. No, Jeff T, you're not feeling it? Well, guess what? If you got $44 billion, Jeff, you can call it whatever the hell you want to call it. Deal? All right. So Elon did it. I personally don't love the logo. It looks like it was, drawn by a 4-year-old, but it's all good. And look, like I said, the man bought it. He can do whatever the hell he wants with it if he wants. So I respect it, but there's something else going underneath the scenes here, behind the scenes and under the surface that I want to talk about it. Because look, Elon has always been talking about the bank of the future. He actually had a website called x.com back in the day. And we know he was PayPal back in the day. So Elon has always been thinking about payments and money. Is that clear for everybody here? Thumbs up if you knew that. Thumbs down if you weren't quite, you didn't really know that, right? Okay, so not everybody knew that. Thanks for your honesty, Jeremy and Robert. I appreciate. He's actually always been a payment guy because money, let's be honest, money is the original network effect. That's what money is. Money is a network effect. As soon as you get enough people using a certain type of money, it becomes usable. But until that happens, it doesn't. And so Elon's always understood this about the market. Yes, he got sidetracked making those electric cars and making those rockets and buying the social media company. But don't get it twisted. He's always had his eyes on the prize, which is money. Money makes the world go round. It's also the easiest and fastest way to make a ton of money is in the money business. Now, how do I know that? I worked for 15 years in the finance industry, actually at the highest levels of international finance. I started my career on Wall Street at the ripe old age of 22 or 21, I think I was. And then I moved to Chicago and I moved here in London. I spent 10 years in the city of London working in the credit derivatives business where my clients were Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Deutsche Bank, all the biggest global banks in the world. So I understand money, which also means I can give you a different look on what this is, the implications on crypto, and I'll also tell you how we are investing in a lot of these companies behind the scenes through equity and token investments via London Real Ventures. So we got a lot to talk about today. And I just cooked up a presentation for you that talks about some of the latest developments, things to keep your eye on, and why we think crypto is going to surge in 2023. How many people think that crypto is going up from here? Just raise your hand if you think it's going up from here. Okay, keep those hands up. So Claude does, keep us up. Justin does, Robert, Graham, L, Jessic, okay, that's good. Lynn is thinking that as well. David, okay. Ryan as well. Stephanie, okay, as well. And Heather, thank you, Heather. I appreciate that. Good, so do we. And look, the Bitcoin halvening is coming up in basically Q1 of next year. How many people are familiar with the Bitcoin halvening? It's something that happens every 4 years. And it has historically always led to a rally 6 months before and I think 3 months after, always. And we're coming up on the 6-month mark here. We've also gone through all of the problems, all of the drama. We spent a lot of time in support down here in the 20s, in the mid 20s, and about around 30. And also we got Bitcoin ETFs on the horizon. We've got potentially regulation on the horizon. We got a lot of things. So, and it looks like the stock market's recovering and inflation is down. So there's a lot of reasons that this is set to pop. And with Bitcoin, if it starts going to 35, 40, 45, 50, I'm telling you, this entire token world is just going to be back and back with a vengeance. And in the last 2 years, people have been building, and it's really ready to pop off. I've got about 75 members behind the scenes that are investing in me in companies, and we expect those to be worth billions and billions of dollars. So we're preparing right now for the next bull run, and it's going to be bigger and sicker than the last bull run that basically ended at the end of 2021. Can I just see a show of hands? How many people think the next bull run in crypto is going to dwarf the previous bull run? As in it's going to make it look kind of silly, right? Yeah, I do too. I'm talking, Bitcoin goes through 100,000, maybe further, and just all these things start happening. And again, I'll talk a little bit more about this today. I'll show you a couple slides, but look, there's potentially $15 trillion waiting to go into digital assets. The current size of the digital asset market is $1.4 trillion. Now, let me ask you a question, Claude and Alexander and Justin Redden. What happens when you take $15 trillion and you try to buy assets in a market that's only worth 1.4 trillion? Does the price go up or does it go down? Yeah, it goes up just a little bit, right? Maybe 10x, right? So we're poised on something really interesting. And most of the sovereign wealth funds in the world are going to probably allocate 1 to 4% of their funds into crypto assets, probably Bitcoin at first, Ethereum, and then a few others. If that happens, I mean, this market's going to go insane. So that's what we're positioned for. I want to share some stuff with you now. Martini, I'm going to have to throw a few people out here because I don't see these people cameras on. By the way, shout out to Agron here for wearing a suit and tie. The only one that came here to respect me like that. Alexander's a big smile on your face. But so I appreciate the wardrobe there. And let me see what else we got. Richard, Eddie, Colin Tibbs, I'm throwing you out, brother. I'm sure you're a nice person, but if I put a tie on a Wednesday, you could at least turn your camera on. And Martini, I'm throwing out Topaz W, if that is your name. And Martini's going to throw everybody else out. So last chance to turn cameras on, and I'm going to share this presentation. Is everybody ready for this presentation? All right, come on, let's do this, folks. Let's get a little crazy here. All right, let's get a little crazy. All right, Elon Musk, can everybody see my presentation here? Thumbs up if you can see me on one side, Elon on the other. You seeing us? Okay, fantastic. All right, so Twitter rebrands to X. There's no point in mourning over it. It's done. They've ripped down the sign on the headquarters in San Francisco, or at least they're trying to. It's rebranded. I don't know if it's actually on the app yet. Let me just check. No, my app still has a bird on it, but it's going everywhere else. And the real interesting story was the day he rebranded to X, Dogecoin was up 10%. And so we already know that Elon sees the users on Twitter as potentially an online banking system, right? Or a payment system. We know he's a fan of crypto. Tesla has accepted Bitcoin and Dogecoin for years. And now it looks as if he's starting to make the move to take Twitter into a super app. Does anyone know what a super app? Raise your hands if you've heard of that concept, a super app. This is something the Chinese really understand, and I'll get into it. This is an app that does everything, right? We're used to having an app to order our groceries, right? An app to do our auctions like eBay, an app to post social media like Twitter, and an app to do our banking, right? Why is it 4 apps? Why not one super app? And that's what Elon's looking to do here. And that's why he acquired Twitter, in my opinion. It's also a great way to control the narrative about everything that's going on in his world. And so today I want to talk about what that means for crypto and how you can invest and prepare yourself to make a lot of money. So that's what's going on. Before we get started, I just want to say that everything I'm saying today is for informational purposes only. This is not intended to be financial advice. If you are interested in financial advice, you know what to do. Seek a duly licensed professional for investment advice. Is that clear for everybody there? All right, good. Let's rock and roll, folks. So here's the news, right? We've seen the overhaul and we see potentially Doge getting a pop on the back of it. Now, why does Elon love Doge? It's a meme coin, right? It seems to only have functionality for the value of its community. It doesn't necessarily have smart contracts. It doesn't enable a metaverse, but it's been around for a long time and you can't keep Doge down. It's always one of the 10 biggest cryptos out there. It stays relevant to the last few years when everything else was going up and going down. And Elon has teased that he might use Doge as a payment mechanism. Crazier things could happen, but it got a 10% pop on the back of this rebranding. And do not get it twisted, folks. When you look at X in 12 months' time, there will be payment aspects here, and it very well could be crypto. And he could onboard the next a couple 100 million users into crypto, which will be massive. So let's keep an eye out what's going on here. Of course, X is looking like it might use Doge, and it's also the potential way that Twitter gets profitable. Raise your hand if you think Twitter is actually making money right now. Does anyone think Twitter's making money right now? I think the answer is no. Now, he just brought in his slick marketing executive that nobody liked. I think she's actually going to be all right. And she's trying to get the advertisers back who apparently left when Elon decided to go unwoke. I don't know if that's true. Maybe it is. But I think he's got a chance, but it'll be very hard to make Twitter profitable unless he adds a financial component. Raise your hand if you agree with me. I think this is the quickest way to profitability. It really is. And look, he's got some big coupon payments to make. Does anybody here know how a leveraged buyout works? Just raise your hand if you do, right? I mean, he's got a $44 million bill to pay, $44 billion bill to pay. He floated, I think, about 10, $15 billion worth of debt, which comes at a coupon payment. So he's got to pay interest on that every single year, right? That's the first thing he has to do. After that, he's got to pay everyone's salary. And so to make these coupon payments, you need cash flow. If you default on your debt, he loses the entire company. And that way he walks away from the 20 billion in equity that he put in. So he needs to figure this out soon. Honestly, this is a no-brainer. This is the fastest and clearest way to profitability for Twitter. And this is exactly what Elon's going to do. This is going to bring all crypto up, but it's going to pull certain cryptos a little bit faster than others. So again, Dogecoin pumps 10%. The futures traders lose out because they didn't see this coming. They're positioning for a little bit of a sell-off. And we know that it's potentially going to be for X payments. All right. So banking and payment plans in a memo about X, right? Again, for me, this seems to be a no-brainer. Obviously, he's got to go head to head with a little regulation in America. But, you know, Elon doesn't care, does he? I mean, he's going head to head with the FTC. He calls out senators on a regular basis. So I don't think he's worried too much about approving token payments. Meanwhile, with Gary Gensler trying to chase him down. So this is the future. In my opinion, this is the play Elon always wanted to make. He did a version of it with PayPal. They sold that to eBay, what, 20 years ago? And now he's back, and he's going to come back with a vengeance. Like I said, I've been in finance. There's no easier way to make money in the world than being in finance. The closer you are to the banks, to the Federal Reserve, the easier it is to make money. And I think that's what he's going to do right here. So it's an interesting times. Also, this is what I mean by a super app. So this is a recent article, came out on CNBC, and they believe it ignites his goal to turn Twitter into an app like China's WeChat. So again, if you look at the text here on the right, they believe he wants to transform X into a super app. And again, that's what we've seen them do in China, where you have basically an instant messaging system. People use it for buying groceries. People use it for buying stocks. People use it for everything. It's a super app, basically. And so you go on to say there are Tencent's WeChat, which is the biggest super app in the world. It has 1.3 billion users, right? And people do everything in that app. And guess what they do? They send all the information straight to the Communist Party, right? Who wants to be a part of that, right? You're looking forward to that, right? Okay. But look, this is the future of a super app. At least we know Elon is the first one to expose when he's getting pressure from the CIA and the FBI and the Senate subcommittee and the Biden White House to actually censor people on his platform, because that's what the Twitter files have shown. But this is where Musk is going with this. It's a super app. We're actually investing in a super app right now in Londonville Ventures, and I'll tell you some of the things we're seeing behind the scenes. I think this is the future. Zuckerberg tried to do it a little while ago with his crypto, but he couldn't do it because the Fed saw him and they regulated him. But I think that Elon can pull it off. So on top of that, we've got this news. Now, raise your hand if you've been watching the fact that BlackRock has not only filed, but refiled for the Bitcoin ETF. All right, raise your hand. So Jeff knows this, Claude knows this, Robert and Ulrich. Okay, good. So BlackRock is the largest asset manager in the world, right? They're busy buying now all of the property in America. They're trying to buy every asset they can. They are, for even as recent as 2 years ago, they had talked absolute rubbish about Bitcoin. And now in the last 4 weeks, their CEO, Larry Fink, he got hired as the chief marketing officer of Bitcoin. Did anybody see that? Right? He's now got 2 jobs. So on one hand, he's the CEO of BlackRock. On the other hand, it seems as if he's now the marketing officer for Bitcoin, because he's telling everybody it's like digital gold. It's like the next hottest thing, right? We've seen this happen before. JP Morgan, do we remember this 3 years ago? The CEO said it was rat poison. And now as recently as a few months ago, he says, well, you know, we always have believed it's a viable asset for our customers. Okay. So they're finally flipping. Now, the timing's interesting because they seem to have done this after they got rid of the FTXs and the Celsiuses and the Coinbases. So raise your hands if you think it's a little fishy that they got rid of all the crypto people first, and now they're waving it in. Yeah, And I'm going to play a video for you shortly of someone talking a little bit more about that. So look, folks, this is another reason we think that crypto is surging hard at the end of this year. And of course, this is what I was talking about. There is a new wave. They're calling it a $15 trillion earthquake that could be headed for Bitcoin, Ethereum, Binance Smart Chain, Ripple, Cardano, Dogecoin, Tron, Solana, etc. Okay, I've had a lot of the CEOs and founders of these protocols on London Real. I know Justin, son of Tron. I know Sandeep from Polygon. I know a lot of these big players. And $15 trillion, folks, it's hard for me to explain how big that is. Again, the entire size of all the crypto and all the crypto companies, all the value of this ecosystem right now is at 1.4 trillion. If you try to dump $15 trillion into that market, I mean, it's only going to go one way. And everyone is waiting for this to happen. All right. If this doesn't happen by the end of the year, everyone's going to be surprised. Okay. So the great accumulation is beginning. At some point, it's going to affect the price. Now, again, BlackRock, Deutsche Bank, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, the most obvious asset to buy is Bitcoin. The next most obvious asset to buy is Ethereum. The next most obvious asset to buy is a Cardano, a Ripple, those other chains. And they're all going to be pulled up as this market rallies and money gets dumped into it. And this is going to happen, folks. It's going to happen one way or another. Gary Gensler can try to stop it as long as he wants. But one thing I learned in banking is this: if your client wants it, if you don't give it to them, guess what? Somebody else will. And so people think the banks are all worried about the future. No, I worked in a bank. The bankers care about one thing. Anyone want to guess what that is? Lynn, you probably know what that is, right? They care about their annual bonus. They don't care about the future of their bank. They don't care about the Federal Reserve. They don't care about the banking cabal. They care about their bonus so they can put their kids through college, so they can pay the ex her payments, so they can buy the house in the Hamptons and have a little left over because they're broke. They're making 10 million a year and they're broke, right? I know all of these people. And all they care about is their bonus. And the only way they get paid is if they sell their customers what they want. If your customer calls up and say, I need Bitcoin exposure for my pension fund, my sovereign wealth fund, for whatever, if you don't give it to them, someone else will. Does that make sense to everybody here? Raise your hand on that. It's really important for people to remember that. People say, oh no, the banks aren't going to cannibalize their own business model. Oh, yes, they will. Yes, they will. If the desire is there and the regulation lets it go through, it'll happen. So this is happening, folks. You've got all of these things coming together at the same time. You've got Elon doing this with X. You've got the Bitcoin halving happening. You've got the Bitcoin ETFs. You've got BlackRock and Deutsche talking about this. You've got the sovereign wealth funds sniffing around for this stuff. It's all waiting to go. The only thing stopping it right now is basically Gensler, right? He's the only guy that's like really just standing in the way. As soon as you get rid of him, right? You know, God forbid he get hit by a bus or there's a new president next year and they decide to get somebody else. If you get a new SEC chairman, all of this could immediately open at once. Raise your hand if you think that could happen, by the way. But by the way, and there's actions in Congress to actually remove him. If Gary leaves, all of this could be settled quickly, quickly. If we get another president in, everything could change very quickly. And by the way, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who's been on the show, he's pro-Bitcoin, right? Trump is probably not going to do what Gary says. And so if Biden gets reelected, yeah, he'll probably keep him there. But you've got a couple chances there that would move that. And I think most of the crypto world wants that to happen. Now, this is something no one's talking about, but I want to hit you to this right now. And I haven't announced this yet, but we've actually got an emergency investment meeting next Wednesday at 6 p.m. here inside our investment club in London Real Ventures, where I am dropping a special investment opportunity to my members that's based on all of the things going on right now on the Bitcoin chain. Now, raise your hand if you know what a Bitcoin ordinal is. Have you seen what's going on here? Okay. Jeff, Jay Scott, of course, who's in our group, Claude. So Bitcoin has always been digital gold, right? It's always been basically a digital asset play. It's the biggest crypto out there. It's the oldest crypto out there. It's never gone down in 13 years, right? Even though it's been attacked by every terrorist organization in the world, probably at the FSB in Russia, probably Al-Qaeda took a shot. Even the one of the greatest terrorist organizations in the world, the CIA, has tried to shut it down. No luck there, right? It stays up. And by the way, your banking system has gone down. Facebook has gone down. Google's got down. Bitcoin's never gone down. It's considered a bulletproof digital asset play. Everybody agree with me here? Raise your hands if you do. I've had Michael Saylor on the show, who's got billions and billions of dollars of this stuff. But no one ever thought it was going to do more than that. They always thought the programmable stuff was going to be on Ethereum, right? That's where all the NFTs are based. That's where the smart contracts are based. That's where DeFi is, which I teach. But guess what? All that changed over the last few months because people started minting ordinals, which are NFTs, on the Bitcoin blockchain, right? How many people are fans of this? How many people think this could be something in the future? The hardcore Bitcoiners don't like it. The thing is, though, this is the network of choice. And so I think it's very possible that this could be the next big thing because Bitcoin has outperformed every other asset in the last 18 months. It really has. You know, whenever the market goes down, Bitcoin stays up the most. And it's considered a key part of most people's portfolio. So we believe all of this is leading to the Bitcoin chain being used for more than just Bitcoin. And if you want to take a calculated risk on this, I know people that are saying what's happening here is what was happening with Ethereum in 2014. This is a chance to be at a first mover advantage and take part in what could be one of the greatest wealth creations in history. So we'll be talking about that next week. And again, we've already seen a $50 million investment coming in from Unisat, and a lot of people are looking at this right now. I know right now the groups are looking at how they can even do smart contracts on the Bitcoin chain. So to be continued, but this is something that we're doing Wednesday, 6 p.m. If you do want to try to be on that call, you got to speak to Martini and beg her, maybe send her flowers and she might let you in. So that's just the status of what's going on, folks, just to show there's a whole big picture here. You're seeing pieces of it, but you're not seeing what's going on behind the scenes with us. We are writing millions and millions of dollars of checks right now to buy equity and tokens in what we believe will be the future trillion-dollar companies in the blockchain Web3 artificial intelligence space. And we plan on creating billions and billions of dollars of wealth for our investment club and our internal members here at London Real. So that's what we're doing here. So I don't just look at the stuff to talk about it. We look at it because it affects how we invest our money. And so I want to actually play for you a short trailer from a guest that we had recently. This is Safadine Emes, and he's an economist and author. He was just appointed by the president of El Salvador as the economics minister, something like that. He just wrote a book called The Bitcoin Standard. And I thought it would be good for you to hear from a Bitcoin maxi just to make sure that you know you should have some of your assets in Bitcoin. By the way, how many people here hold Bitcoin? Can I see hands up if you have some Bitcoin? Okay, good. So about a third to a half, good. Well, let me just play something recently that came from him, because if you don't own Bitcoin, Safadine, who is a very straight shooting Israeli, I love Israelis because they always tell you the goddamn truth, whether you want to hear it or not. And he says, look, if you're not invested in Bitcoin, you should have fun staying poor. All right. And so what I want to do is I want to play for you this video. Pay attention to what he's saying, because this will really frame how I'm going to show you how you can invest in this stuff later. But just in case you were on the fence on this, listen to what the author of the Bitcoin Standard had to say.
For me, the dollar is over. The fiat bargain broke down. Show me what you've done with your portfolio, with your bonds, with your stocks over the last 5 years, and how has it outperformed Bitcoin? Have fun staying poor. This is just a better technology for money. And your technology for money is a broken technology that is optimized for your government to steal from you. It's optimized for the government to be able to finance its operation. You start printing money to fix the consequences of money printing. This is the kind of mentality that you get into.
It takes maybe someone like you to step back and say, wait a second, maybe none of this is true. You wrote Bitcoin Standard in 18, way before COVID printing, way before inflation skyrocketing. You were calling this years before that.
If you don't want Bitcoin, if you don't agree with Bitcoin, if you don't like Bitcoin, continue to use your local government's scam money, continue to hold government bonds, continue to get wiped out, put your money in banks that go under, and enjoy poverty. If you look at it realistically, all currencies are in hyperinflation at slow motion. In the long run, Bitcoin is the short on all of those currencies. And you know that there's not going to be more than 21 million, and you know that nobody can make more of it, and you know nobody can take away your coins. So then that means you can go and live your life. Do a productive thing for society spend less than you earn, save the rest in Bitcoin, and live your life.
All right, we like Safadian. We agree with him on that, right? Your scam money. How many people believe fiat money is scam money? Just raise your hand if you think it is. Dollars, pounds, yen. Look at all these hands. Look at all these awakened people in here, right? Okay. Look, he's got a point. I mean, they print this stuff at will. They can inflate it at will. And now with FedNow, which someone just put me in the chat, I appreciate your question there, Jeff. With FedNow, they're potentially going to make your money, your scam fiat money, now a digital currency, a CBDC, where now they can spy on you with it. They can censor your money. They could potentially even change your social score with money. How many people are looking forward to that future where your scam money now becomes CBDC? No, right? I'm feeling you, El. I'm feeling you. Me neither. So let's make sure that doesn't happen. That's why I spend my time speaking to people like Safadian, because it constantly reminds me that what we're doing is correct. All right. People want freedom. Back in 2020, I put our entire company on the line to fight for freedom of speech, right? We put everything on the line, potentially lost my YouTube channel with 2 million subscribers, 9 years of work, because we believed in freedom of speech. We believe in financial freedom just as importantly. Matter of fact, without financial freedom, there is no freedom of speech. So I would argue that financial freedom is even more important than freedom of speech. How many people agree with me here, right? What did they do with the Canadian truck driver struck kicked off about 18 months ago? How did they try to get people to shut up? They started taking away their money. Can you believe that? People thought that would happen in Zimbabwe. People thought that would happen in Venezuela. People thought that would happen in North Korea. And guess where it happened? In a G7 country like Canada. So if you're naive enough to think that it's not going to happen in your country, I mean, I don't know what to say to you. It can. So we have to remember that constantly. So back to Safadian, my takeaways from him are this: your fiat currency is trash. Now, look, don't get me wrong. The dollar's not going anywhere, I believe, for at least another 10 or 20 years. So don't get rid of it, but also know the limitations of your dollar. This is crucial. Second thing you need to know is it allows your government to steal from you. How many people have heard the expression taxation is theft? Raise your hand if you believe that's true. I mean, it's not far from a form of theft, right? Who are some of the most dangerous people in the world, right? How did they get Al Capone? Does anybody know how they got Al Capone? Raise your hand if you know. Was it the FBI? Was it the police officers? Was it the army? No, it was the IRS that got Al Capone, right? They are the nastiest people in the world, and they will hunt you down. As we say on Wall Street, there's only two certain things in life: death and taxes, right? And this is how they steal from you: inflation, taxation, money printing, and now, of course, with the CBDC. So Bitcoin is the only sensible investment. We believe that a portfolio without Bitcoin is not a portfolio. And so we've got to know what's happening here. I think a lot of the world is opening up to this. Again, sovereign wealth funds now are all saying they want between 1% and 4% in a digital asset like Bitcoin. And again, it might not sound like a lot, 1%, but when you're in Qatar and you have $1 trillion sovereign wealth fund, if you're in Saudi Arabia where you have who knows how big that sovereign wealth fund is, and you put 1% in, it's a lot of money, and it's going to move the markets. So I wanted to start off with Safadian today. I want to talk about why Elon rebranded. I've already kind of covered that. Will he use Dogecoin for payment, or will he use something else? And then, of course, I want to talk about how you can trade and profit now. The truth is, Elon could use any number of cryptos. He could use Doge. He could use USDT or DC. He could marry himself to an L1 protocol. He could just enable Bitcoin payments, but it's going to be a crypto, and it's going to change everything. It's going to change everything. We're going to start micro tipping each other. You've seen what he's doing with subscriptions. You've seen how he's trying to incentivize people to create there with advertising revenue. This is happening one way or another. And so just as some background, we here are currently investing over $3 million right now into 3 crypto, artificial intelligence, and metaverse deals this quarter. We're literally writing big checks to all of the companies that are building this in the future. So we kind of know what's going on behind the scenes in a very big way. We do this through this entity. It's called London Real Ventures. Raise your hand if you've never heard of this before. You had no idea we were doing investing in the background. A few of you? Okay, a couple of you. So we are, thanks, David, for your honesty. I appreciate that. So we are the world's first media-powered investment firm. What does that mean? I took London Real, which is a 12-year effort, right? It's got 1 billion views, 5 million subscribers, over 1,000 of the greatest guests on in the world. And now we've plugged it into basically a venture capital company. So we've got cash. What we do is, if we want to invest in your company, I bring the CEO onto the show, put them in the leather chair. These are the CEOs I've had in the leather chair. Then I get them to articulate their vision to the world. Imagine if Elon was in there, right? He would talk about the vision he has for X, the payment platform, you name it. We put together a suite of video assets that basically go out and promote the company for the next 5 years. That leads to more investments, some of the best hires in the world, and promotion. I tap them into potentially 5 million customers worldwide. I connect them with all the huge players I know in this space. And then we also, on top of all that, write them $1 million check. This is the hottest thing right now. And we are seeing the best deal flow in the world because no one is doing this. None of the big VC firms have a media channel. And this is what's getting people's attention right now. Does that make sense to everybody here? Am I explaining that well to everybody? Okay, good. Thanks for the hands up. I appreciate it. These are the companies we've already invested in. Some of the massive companies, one of the biggest blockchain gaming companies in the space, one of the crypto banks of the future, and a bunch of metaverse plays as well. And everything we do here is based on our mission at London Real, which is to create, and this is on our wall in the back if you ever get to London and see it, on what we want to do, which is to create a mass scale transformation of humanity into a fully empowered, conscious, and cooperative species. That's what we're doing every day at London Real with our media, my documentary films, my London Real Academy, our events, everything we do. We're trying to make you transform yourself into a fully empowered, conscious, and cooperative species. And that's the same way we invest. We invest in companies that want to do the same. That's why I love the blockchain, because the blockchain makes everything more democratic. It ensures your freedoms. It ensures freedom of speech. It ensures that no one's going to take over our money, our brains, our social platforms, our everything. Does that make sense to everybody here? Are you with me on this? I think you are. If you own crypto, you know what I'm talking about. And I mean, just to say, folks, it's not just business for me. This is also personal, because I got these two fellows to look out for. And this is Caden, he's 7, and this is Damon, and he's 6. And, you know, the cat, we'll keep an eye on the cat as well. But like for these boys, this is their future. And I'm constantly thinking about what's the world that they're going to grow up in. Now, Caden and Damon both have about 70 pounds each at home because they've been doing their chores. They make 50p a night. Now they're up to 1 pound a night. And I'm about to set them up with Bitcoin wallets on their computers they have here at London Real. They have desks here, workstations at London Real. And so they're about to get Bitcoin. They know what it is, but they're really about to see what's going on. So I'm really excited to get them into the digital asset sphere. So that's what I'm doing here. Again, my mom at 77 years old has a MetaMask wallet. She's got stable coins. She's got Ethereum. My daughter at 17 years old got a MetaMask wallet. For me, this isn't just business. This is personal. And so everything we do here at London Real really is around this Sun Tzu philosophy. How many people have heard this quote before? Every battle is won before it's ever fought, right? It's something that Gordon Gekko in the movie Wall Street used to say over and over again. I'm a big Gordon Gekko fan. Maybe I dress like him now. I don't know what that says about me, but I believe in this. And what does this mean? This means that you prepare. That's what it means to me. And we have spent the last 2 years in this crypto winter bear market scenario preparing, because I believe that every battle is won before it's fought. It's won with planning, with practice, with preparation. And so that's why we've been studying the blockchain. That's why we've been having all of my students mint NFTs and get into the metaverse and learn trading strategies and do decentralized finance trades and buy options on crypto and get in liquidity pools and set up their hot and cold wallets and learn everything they can about crypto. Because we know when the bull market comes back and Bitcoin goes to 35 and 40 and 45, by the way, which could happen next week, right? We know how crypto works. We are going to be ready to win the battles. Does that make sense to everybody here? That's what we're going to do. We've also been building our network, building our investor base, and investing in so many companies. So we are already ready. We're ready for this bull market, and we are prepared. And that's why I'm always doing this in my personal life. I'm still training boxing because I know my fight's coming up again. I know I'm going to get a fight. And so I'm already ready because that battle is going to be won before it's ever fought. So when you see me in the ring, and it's going to happen, by the way, then I'm already winning that battle now every single week. I'm sparring. I'm putting in the hard rounds. I'm getting punched in the face, okay? Because I know that when I am dropped in there, I'm going to win. That's the way we do things here at London Real. And that's why my students are so successful, because we make sure that we prepare before the battle. Everybody with me here, okay? And that's the thing to do, especially in these crypto winters or whatever they are. This is the time to expand, not contract, right? This is the time to expand, and all the winners will tell you this. So now I want to talk about Mark Yusko, okay? He runs about a $10 billion fund, and he's hugely bullish on the digital asset ecosystem, all right? He's also got a theory about Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX, which I want to share with you as well. He was on the show recently, and he had some really interesting things to say about how this ecosystem is just waiting to get 10 times bigger. And so I want you to listen to Mark. This is really important, just for you to understand why we believe that we are poised right now for a massive rally in this space. And again, I'm really blessed with this platform that I can have the best of the best come on and educate me, and then henceforth educate you. So this is what Mark said.
This idea that it's just Bitcoin, just Ethereum, no, it's the technological evolution, not revolution. What blockchain will do to financial services is what the internet did to media and commerce. But it doesn't just transfer market cap, it expands. Blockchain busts the monopoly of finance, and they make lots of money being the trusted third parties between the exchange of value. What blockchain technology does is it goes from dual entry accounting to triple entry accounting. Now you have a ledger, I have a ledger, but there's this third ledger that exists in an encrypted form permanently, immutably. We're replacing trust with truth. This fundamentally changes how humanity interacts. Why? Well, because people are realizing that when you put your money in the bank, it's no longer your money. Well, with blockchain, we don't need that. So it allows us to break the shackles. Humanity moves forward because of human creativity, human ingenuity, innovation.
You mentioned FTX. What do you think actually happened?
I don't believe Sam Bankman-Fried and Caroline were the masterminds of anything. And I think there is a much higher power that masterminded the whole thing to disparage crypto, to slow down the adoption.
You're excited. You think there's great opportunities in this market, and you're just looking forward to the next 10 years, knowing that this will all happen. It's just about how it happens.
I am incredibly optimistic. It's just so inspiring to be around people who are looking forward, who are looking for solutions and innovations. What I actually love to do is seek people with opposite views, to have dialogue and debate in search of truth. And now the problem is you're not allowed to talk to people. Left can't talk to right, up can't talk to down. No, that's what you need to do. Talk to listen and learn and discern. You may still believe what you believe, and you may believe it more, but occasionally you might change your mind.
We like Mark Yusko. Raise your hand if you're feeling Mark, right? Yeah. If he had a quote that you loved in there, put it in the chat. What do you think about what he said about FTX? Do you agree with him that it seems a little bit too easy and convenient that these 20-something-year-olds did all of this and then went down? It is a little convenient, right? FTX crashes, Celsius crashes, Coinbase gets sued. And then right when that happens, BlackRock decides to do the ETF, right? And everybody else starts to get into it. It's very convenient, I must say. And look, I worked in the banking world. I know how it works. Where did Gary Gensler used to work? At Goldman Sachs. Where does Gary Gensler want to work? As the Treasury Secretary next. Everybody, they keep it all in the same business, all right? All the bankers rotate into the regulators and back. And so if they're going to make money off these digital assets, why let some punk kid in the Bahamas do it? Why not make sure those financial institutions, which basically JP Morgan was called a quasi-government entity in some of those emails about Epstein, by the way. Basically, they say it looks like a bank, but it's basically the government in disguise as a bank. Raise your hand if you know what I'm talking about, right? So the fact that that all happened, again, look, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I leave that to my guests on London Real. I'm here to make a lot of money for my people. That's what I'm doing. So let's jump back into it. Mark, I'm a big fan of Mark Yusko. I really think he calls so many things right. And here are the takeaways we got from what he said. First of all, crypto is technological evolution, not revolution. How many people agree with that statement? This is an evolution of money. It's so true. You know, why can't I have a direct peer-to-peer transaction with you, Lynn, with you, Claude, with you, Alexander, with you, Robert Lent, with you, Jacek? Why can't I send you money without a middleman, without a bank looking over our shoulder, trying to take a piece out? You know, humans, the way we express ourselves, quite frankly, is through transactions. That's what our life is. It's a series of transactions. Why does some third party have to be involved? You know, it's evolution that we can have peer-to-peer transactions that are trustless. And that's what the blockchain brings us. Next statement, this is a bold statement. Mark says, Bitcoin busts the monopoly of finance. I just spoke about this, right? How are you gonna, with Bitcoin, it takes away everything that JP Morgan and the Federal Reserve says and fractional banking. And with Bitcoin, you can't print money with Bitcoin. There's no inflation. Like, you can't play all these games. And so it busts the monopoly of finance. And again, the big point is crypto replaces trust with truth. This is so important. Now, look, I think it's important to trust people, but when it comes to your money, why should you have to trust anybody? With Bitcoin, you don't have to trust anybody. You got your private keys, you got your money. With a bank, you have to trust people, right? You have to trust that it's going to be there. You have to trust the government's not going to take it away. You have to trust they're not going to print more. You're going to have to trust they don't raise your taxes. You're going to have to trust they don't force you to use a CBDC that they're going to use to censor you. So why not have the truth instead? So again, more people are realizing this. I think at the last estimate, something like 30-some% of Americans own crypto. So we believe this is going one way and all leading to one place. By the way, you can take a screenshot of this. This is our 8-step trading checklist that we give to all of my graduates of our Crypto and DeFi Academy. It's our 4-week boot camp where we take everybody through the basics, from knowing nothing about crypto to reading the Bitcoin white paper, to setting up their hot wallets and cold wallets, to actually setting up their centralized exchanges, doing decentralized finance trades, buying options on crypto. And then we show them how to trade with stop losses, with my 10-coin rule, etc. But this is the ones. One of the things I want to say is rule number 4 is one of the most important things you'll ever learn as a trader. Honestly, it took me about 6 years to learn that rule. Rule number 4 is this: once you have profit in a trade, never let it become a loss. Now, I'm going to ask you an honest question. How many people here have ever had profit in a trade and you let it slide into a loss? Come on, be honest on this, right? Be honest, right? It's what a lot of us did, right? You own Bitcoin and went to 69,000 in October, and what happened? You didn't sell it. You didn't sell it at 59,000. You didn't sell it at 49,000. You didn't sell it at 39,000. You didn't sell it at 29,000, and you watched it go all the way down to the toilet, right? Raise your hand if you were one of those people. We all did it, right? Okay. And that's why these rules I give you, I mean, they're literally they come from the heavens, because if you could have just followed that one rule, you could have like literally made, $50,000 for every Bitcoin you owned. And again, we try to really instill these basics with stop losses, with these strategies, with our portfolio system. So you can have that just as a freebie today, but this is what we teach inside our academy. Next, I want to introduce Dan Tapiero. Dan is a macro guru. He's become a good friend of mine, and he started a fund a couple of years ago, $1 billion fund called 10T Holdings. Anyone want to guess what 10T stands for? Raise your hand if you got any guesses. Put it in the chat. 10T, as you can probably see on my slide here, stands for 10 trillion. He got into this market. And by the way, Dan's an old school macro investor. When I was at Bankers Trust back in 1993, he was doing business with our bank when he was at Tiger Capital Management. He's old school. He's really smart. He understands the way the world works globally when it comes to how money moves. And Dan looked at this market and he said, you know what? This is going 10x bigger than this. He understood exactly what, he's good friends with Mark Yusko, by the way. And so he created a company called 10T Holdings, raised $1 billion, and has already deployed it in some of the biggest blockchain companies in the world. Companies like a Nano Ledger. How many people own a Ledger hard wallet? Raise your hand if you do. If you're one of my grads, you do. He owns that company. How many people have ever used the stablecoin USDC stablecoin? Yep, he owns money in Circle. How many people have ever used the Deribit exchange? It's an options exchange. All of my students do. He owns money in that. How many other people have ever used MetaMask, like the MetaMask hot wallet, right? He owns Consensus. He owns some of the biggest companies in the world. And by the way, he's raising another $1 billion fund, and we're putting $1 million in it. So we're really excited. I want to play for you a short clip of Dan when he recently came on my show, because again, Dan believes this market is going 10x bigger. And Dan is old school as well. And he has a ton of conversations with people in the traditional finance world, and he can flip people usually within about 20 minutes. He believes he could flip Warren Buffett if you could get him in a room for an hour. And honestly, if anyone could do it, I think it's Tapiero. This is what he told us.
We're the only fund that focuses exclusively on blockchain and crypto business.
I still remember the conversation we had 17 months ago. You said, look, Brian, I'm not the guy that's going to get you 100x. I'm going to get you 10x, and I'm going to invest in companies with revenue. It was not what people wanted to hear when Bitcoin hit its high in November, but then fast forward 18 months, you're looking like one of the savviest investors out there.
We are investing at the growth stage. We're looking to invest in companies that are going to be able to withstand the bear phase. A company like Animoca made more revenue in 22 than in 21. Think about that for a second. You had a massive bear phase in the cryptocurrency markets, and here's a company that actually did better. Of the 26 investments, we only had one that was impaired. It was only 2.5% of total assets.
I think you had a term where you said under the hood, there's a lot going on. All of these things are growing and building. The price of Ethereum can stay the same, and they're still going to create hundreds of millions of dollars of value.
We try to pick established companies that are making big chunks of revenue because they have the flexibility to take that risk, add that business line, buy that small company that could be building the future.
You plan on just introducing synergies between all of those companies. You can create a ton of value for your portfolio companies.
We are going to be very focused on helping bring some of our companies to the public markets. 5 years from now, Coinbase is not going to be the only public crypto blockchain business in the world. 10 trillion is what I call would be the value of the digital asset ecosystem, which is the value of all the cryptocurrencies and all the equity in the space.
What do we think of Dan Tapiero? We feeling this guy? Come on, this guy's a legend, right? Oh my gosh, we couldn't be more excited. He came on our call a couple months ago, Martini, and blew everybody away. He's actually back on one of our investment club calls on Monday. I think it's a Monday, 2 weeks from Monday. And he's going to be back. Like I said, we're putting $1 million into his next fund called 1RT, which is another $1 billion fund. And the beautiful thing is when we put money in his fund, whenever he invests in a new company, like a Circle or a Consensus or any of these big infrastructure companies, we can co-invest in that individual investment. So the next big thing that he sees, some of our money goes in because we're in his fund, but then he come back and says, hey, London Real Ventures, would you guys like to put an extra $500,000 in this one venture that I know he's already putting 10 or 20 mil in? It's called co-investing, and it's like another sick way to make great money. So we're building all of these relationships with all of these different fund managers throughout the world. We're building the same relationships with VCs and a lot of these startups, and that's what we're investing in behind the scenes. And so my takeaways from Dan Tapiero, first of all, the guy's a genius, and he's just also an amazing guy. And he loves what we're doing here at London Real. And this is what he said. Animoca Brands, we're huge fans of, by the way. Yatsu's the chairman. I got a video from him next. They made more money in 2022 than 2021. Raise your hand if that blows you away, right? That was supposed to be the bear market, but you look at it in revenues, they made more revenue in that year. What does this tell us? Everyone's building behind the scenes, folks. Don't let the price of Bitcoin fool you. Yeah, Bitcoin went down, but the whole system is growing, growing, growing. Let me give you an example. I was in New York City in the year 2000 during the dot-com boom. I was the CFO of a company called LuxuryFinder.com. We had just raised $15 million from some of the wealthiest people in New York City, the big names you would read about in the tabloids. We were trying to sell luxury goods on the internet. We didn't really know what the hell we were doing. And the internet prices went up, 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 and then they crashed. Does anybody remember that? They crashed hard, right? Taxi drivers were trading internet stocks before that. And then they crashed. Well, what happened? For the next 5 years, if you said the word technology in New York City, someone would punch you in the face. Nobody cared about tech. Everybody had been burned. But what was happening in the background, Claude? What companies were being built? This tiny little company called Google was being built, right? This crazy idea called Amazon was being built, right? This thing called Facebook was being built. And what happened? The prices were down, but the big fish were being built, and they became the most dominant companies in the world today. Do you realize that the market capitalization of Apple at $3 trillion is bigger than the market cap of the top 200 companies in the entire of the UK? Does that blow anybody away? One tech company is bigger than basically our entire industry here. So just because the prices are down doesn't mean that value isn't being created behind the scenes. That's why most fortunes are made in the bear market. Most people don't realize that. Most great companies are built in bear markets. And that's why we're investing now. So again, Dan sees digital assets going from 1 trillion to 10 trillion. He's actually completely convinced it is. And crypto adoption is inevitable. It's just a matter of time. How many people believe that's true? It's just a matter of time. By the way, what happens every time China outlaws Bitcoin? Has anyone ever seen what happens with the price? Exactly. Do you know how many times they've outlawed Bitcoin, Claude? It's like 8 different times. And every time it goes up, it goes up, it goes up. Yeah. So this is where this is headed. And look, the last piece I want to show you before I show you how to invest in this stuff is Yatsu. How many people know this guy, Yatsu? He's the chairman and president of Animoca Brands. It's basically a $4 billion hedge fund that's based on the metaverse, artificial intelligence, blockchain. He's Web3 through and through. He's a genius. He's become a good friend over the last couple of years. He was in our studio just recently, a couple months ago. He was in our studio last year, and he's the first guy back in 2021 who explained the metaverse to me to where I got it. We've already invested in a bunch of their deals, and this deal we're looking at next week is one of his deals as well, which we think is the hottest thing we've seen this year, if not this decade. And so Yat believes that even artificial intelligence is going to revolutionize this entire crypto industry and take it to the next level. So if I hadn't sold you enough that crypto is going to surge, this is my final argument that it's going to go up. All right. And I want you to pay attention to Yat, because he talks about the other thing that's really, really, really important. And that is this concept of digital property rights. How many people are familiar with this concept? Raise your hand, of digital property rights, right? This is about your right to own digital property. And you might say, well, I don't really care about digital property, Brian. I just like owning my house. Okay. Well, okay. What about your identity? What about your medical history? What about your browsing history? What about your cryptocurrency? These are all digital assets. Digital property rights are king, and Yat's the guy to fight for those. And this is what he told me.
Why would you exist in a Web2 paradigm where you're making literally pennies on the dollar when you should be receiving your fair share of value, which is what's happening in Web3? So that is the meaning of the open universe. And if you're not in it, then I think you're really sort of not seeing where the future is, because virtual work, I think, is the future anyway.
It's not a new thing. This is just us, but now represented digitally. And it's only going one way.
Where are we spending our time? We're spending our time digitally. Owning our data, owning the derivative of our data is so critical. And people don't understand that, especially in this age of AI. Because after all, AI lives off our data. We are feeding the AI. You wouldn't have ChatGPT or self-driving cars if it wasn't for our data. And how much are we getting paid for it? Big fat zero.
You're giving away your data and someone's selling it back to you.
That trade of that data commodity has always been locked until today.
One of the things we aren't taught in school is we're not taught about money.
No, not at all.
And
it's a scandal, if you ask me. I think it's scandalous. When you onboard any person from Web 2 to Web 3, you're not just opening a wallet for them. The effective onboarding comes with financial education. That's the part that has been missing. If now billions of people have similar knowledge about financial systems, that to me becomes the antidote for financial abuse.
Do you think the fight for digital property rights is the most important fight of the human species?
What we're building is bigger than us. If you don't have property rights, you can't have freedom. If you can't have the ownership of it, then you can't predict the future for it. If you can see your future, then you can build towards it, and you're naturally optimistic. If you can't see your future, that's, I think, where trouble begins.
All right, how many people are feeling Yatsu? I'm telling you, I get chills every time I watch that, Martini. That guy's OG gangster. I texted him last night. He's in Hong Kong because I was asking about this deal we're getting in on next week. And I love that guy. He is one of the greatest spokesmen for Web3 blockchain on the planet. You know, he gets it. He's always gotten it. And he's like giving us the that North Star. He's like, this is where we're going. This is where we have to go. And if you ever bring up something like Meta with him, he's vehemently against a closed metaverse. He hates that concept. He believes everything should be open. And he believes we should have digital property rights. Without owning your digital property, we have nothing. We have no freedoms. We have no freedom of speech. We have nothing. And again, I've been through this, folks. In 2020, they tried to take away my digital property rights, right? YouTube tried to take away my relationship with you. They tried to remove my videos from the web. And they quickly used that as a tool to try to get me to shut up. And so I'm heavily involved and invested in this. And so what are our takeaways from Yat? Because this all comes full circle, right, with what we're doing here. Takeaways from Yat of this: Web3 gives us our freedoms back, right? And Web3 is embodied in everything that we're talking about here on the blockchain, everything. And that's what we all want. We really do. And this is the time, folks. If we don't fight for this now, we're going to lose it. They roll the CBDCs out, it's pretty much over. So the fight is happening right now. The metaverse is the future. What are we in right now, folks? What are we doing here? What does this look like to you? Anyone want to make a guess? This is a metaverse, right? What are we doing? Like, we're from, like, I think we checked, well, there's like 17 different countries on this call. We all have a digital identity. I know a lot of you people really well because I've met you over the years digitally. I haven't met a lot of you in person, but a lot of you are in my academies, in my investment club. We're making money together, all this stuff. This is a metaverse, folks. This is the future, right? A metaverse doesn't have to mean you're wearing goggles and you're walking around and you're a dog and I'm a cat. A metaverse is just a way for humans to digitally connect. Y'all with me? Everybody raise your hand if you're with me. We're going to be doing more of this in the future, and that's okay. I've met the coolest people in my life digitally. Some of my best friends I've met digitally, and that's just the truth, and that's okay. Last thing is crypto will empower the AI economy. This is crucial. Yeah, it's very clear on this. We're huge fans of AI here, making a big AI investment right now behind the scenes. And AI is going to push crypto forward because in order for AI to communicate with each other, in order to pay us for the data that AI is using from scraping from us, crypto is going to empower everything. So that's what Yat tells us. I'm a big fan. And so look, you're probably saying, Brian, this is great. I'm completely in. I agree with your thesis that crypto is going to surge, that now is the time to be invested in these. So how do you create generational wealth? Well, at the end of the day, folks, you have to pull the trigger and do something. All right. Just getting this information from me isn't enough for you to actually change your future, in my opinion. You've got to pull the trigger. And so that's what we do here at London Real. We invest in companies and we use the tools of the blockchain by learning to make sure that we are positioned in the right way. And this is a company called Cross the Ages. 2 years ago, we invested in this company. I brought the CEO, Sami Chalagu, in the office, and now they are breaking all the records out there. They're literally dominating the App Store. You can see they're selling out millions of dollars worth of NFTs. They got further investment after he was on the show from Ubisoft and our friends at Rebrands. And we're expecting a token to come this year. We're expecting a 10x pop on the token, and then it's probably going to go higher and higher and higher. So we have a track record of identifying incredible opportunities out there, investing with the best, and then reaping just massive gains and rewards on the back of it. We're also investing in this company called Orange Comet, who's building metaverses for some of the biggest Hollywood players and franchises in the world. This is Dave Broom. He's a Hollywood executive for 25 years, was involved in the very first Netflix reality show with Sylvester Stallone, just did Jennifer Lopez's documentary film called Halftime. He did the reality show called The Biggest Loser. He is doing amazing things with digital collectibles, and we've invested in his company. This is Eric Poulier. He's the president of Vadim. They're building metaverses for the biggest companies in the world, right? They're working with McKinsey Incorporated, Deloitte and Touche. They're building metaverses for Google, for Frito-Lay, for PepsiCo, for Slack, and doing amazing things. This is Jason Ma, and this is his company called Open. It's the hottest new Web3 super app, right? It's what happens when Amazon basically meets WhatsApp. And we're investing in this right now. It's a Web3 super app for artists and creators. That's why we know a little bit about super apps. We're actually investing in a deal that they closed last year, but since we know Animoca, we're getting about $500,000 of exposure in shares for my investment club. So we're doing all these things behind the scenes. We're also investing in the next $1 billion fund, digital asset ecosystem. You might guess whose fund that is. And this is the deal we're going to be talking about next Wednesday. It's basically going to be piggybacking on this Bitcoin ordinals chain. It's called the BRC chain. And it's the metaverse where fiction becomes reality and opportunity abounds. It's not just going to be a metaverse. It's going to be an entire educational play. And it's built by AAA gaming people that built Assassin's Creed. And they're partnering up with some of the biggest people out there. And they're going to put this thing on the Bitcoin chain. We quite frankly think this is the most exciting thing we've seen probably in the last 3 or 4 years. And that'll be the emergency meeting, 6 p.m. next week. If you're interested in attending, like I said, be really nice to Martini. Obviously, if you're a member of our investment club or our Crypto and DeFi Academy or our Kings of DeFi, you are invited. But honestly, most people are not invited to this. But if you can, maybe Martini will let you in. The CEO of this company will be on and we'll be explaining this opportunity that's going to go very, very fast. Because of our relationship, we've managed to get a small allocation in this thing that's going to pop really, really fast. So we're really excited about that. And of course, we're also investing in what we call the OpenAI killer, what we believe is going to dominate artificial intelligence going forward. We're about to write $1 million check into that company. So we are active, folks. And let me just say one thing. The only reason that we are able to do this and that my students and my investment club can do this is because they learned the basics of crypto, decentralized finance, and the blockchain. If you don't understand hot wallets, cold wallets, DeFi, liquidity pools, centralized exchanges, decentralized exchanges, if you don't understand Uniswap and Aave, well, you're going to have no clue trying to evaluate what these companies are about. And so that's why we do what we do. And again, it's all around this one thesis, which we believe the greatest way to predict the future is to literally create it. How many people agree with that? Come on, let's go. The greatest way to predict the future is to create it, right? Don't hope, don't complain, don't protest, don't whine, go create it. We can do it. We've got an army of people around the world. I call the London Real Army. We've got millions and millions of dollars worth of capital. We've got one of the greatest media platforms in the world, and we've got connections with all the big players in the space. So this is what we're doing, folks, behind the scenes. Now, look, if you want to be successful in this space, if you want to be a great long-term investor and player in crypto, you need three things. You cannot do it without these three things. First of all, you need education. You need to know exactly what to do in the right steps. Otherwise, you're going to get lost. Two, you need mentorship. You need someone like me who can walk you through the basics, who can explain to you, no, don't go there. That's a mistake. Yes, this is important. Stop paying attention to that. It's a waste of your time. This is what we're doing. This is what the big players do. And the third thing you need is a community, right? You can't do this on your own. You need to surround yourself with a group of winners, not the people you currently hang out with that probably think you're crazy for being in crypto. Raise your hand if some of your friends think you're crazy for being in crypto. Raise your hands if your friends make fun of you because Bitcoin has dropped by 75% in the last couple of years. You know they do. If not, they do it behind your back. Because a couple Christmases ago, you were talking up Bitcoin at the dinner table, right? Raise your hand if that was you. I know that was you, Jeff. Okay, that's okay. What do they say, Jeff? He who laughs last laughs the loudest. Is that what they say, right? So that's what we'll be doing in some years. So in order to do this, we created our Crypto and DeFi Academy. And again, folks, this is the best course in the world when it comes to learning the basics of this infrastructure. It's a 4-week boot camp that will take you from knowing nothing or actually being very knowledgeable all the way up to being an incredible trader, understanding decentralized finance, and actually executing trades on these platforms. Our next course starts next week. We always have an amazing group of people in there. I teach this course live, folks, right? I take this very seriously. And it's your chance to be part of the greatest dislocation of wealth in human history. It's a 4-week course, 4 modules. It's invitation only. You have to apply to be a part of this thing, all right? It includes 8 hours of live calls with me, just like this. You know I like to talk about this stuff. You get access to our online e-learning platform with all the videos from the modules, all the workbooks, all the things you need. I have a triple-tiered accountability system that I've used for over 6 years. That means that you have to check in, do the assignments, upload videos into the community group. It's serious high touch point stuff. We have coaches, team leaders, community managers that work with you every single day to make sure that you're getting across the goal line. And we have a private group for posting assignments, getting feedback, and exchanging information. People from all around the world, some of the most incredible people in the world. I've graduated over 1,000 people from this program. Many have gone on to be in our investment club and our Kings of DeFi. And many of those people are investing right alongside of me with some of the hottest deals out there right now. You can apply to join us right now at londonreal.tv/DeFi. That will get you in there. It's a quick application process. I read all the applications myself. We'll get you an answer literally within probably 10 or 20 minutes. This is the syllabus, just so you know. Week 1, we go into the history of crypto. You read the Bitcoin white paper. We talk about Ethereum. We talk about smart contracts. We talk about all the booms and busts that happened throughout the years and get you up to speed. Week 2, we jump right in, folks. You're doing hot wallets, cold wallets. You're getting your centralized exchanges set up. You're buying your stable coins, your basic coins, and you're executing a decentralized finance trade. right? We throw you right in the deep end. Trust me, you can do this. I've had 15-year-old students do it. I've had 87-year-old grandmas do it. Once you do it, you learn so much, and we don't play around. We go fast. Week 3 is DEXs, DApps, and high yield farming. We get you right into this. You start earning interest on your crypto. You participate in liquidity pools. You will buy an option on Ethereum and Bitcoin. I kid you not, because options aren't scary. I traded options for 15 years in the city. They're not bad. Options are just a way of managing risk, and I want you to know. And then, of course, the best module is module 4, which is how to profit by trading these protocols. I show you how to manage risk. I show you my 10 coin rule, my first system, my 30-day watch list. I show you how to set up stop loss orders. I show you how to lock in those profits. I give you that 8-step trading checklist, and our students have been massively successful in this space. We teach this remotely. We've got people from all over the world. We've graduated students from like 70 countries from around the world. And again, it's just been an incredible, incredible success. And it's your chance to be part of the greatest dislocation of wealth in human history. If you don't know these basics, it's hard for you to invest alongside of us. This helps so much. And all of our investment club members always go through this program as well. So again, you can apply to join us at londonreal.tv/DeFi. And since you're here on this call, I'm going to throw in a bunch of special bonuses. If you apply now or today, I'm going to throw in some bonuses. This is Dan Pena live at the Ritz in London. This is an event I did with Dan. There were a couple billionaires in the room. It was a very expensive. I think it was like $5,000 or $10,000 to be at this event. And I think it's 4 hours of Dan basically, asking you why you haven't created generational wealth, right? I apologize in advance for his language, but this might actually get you to pull the trigger and step up and start creating wealth. Next, I'm going to give you a special bonus module, module number 1 of our Kings of DeFi program. This is an advanced blockchain crypto trading program that's 6 months long that you get in after my Crypto and DeFi Academy. And this teaches you how to lock in profits with what I call my reward to risk ratios, all the stuff I learned on Wall Street. On top of that, I'm also going to give you module 1 of my investment club. This is what is a crypto token presale and how you can invest directly in SAFs and safes and make the big money, which is what we're doing behind the scenes. This is some incredible bonuses that you'll get if you join us today. I just want to be clear, my academy is not for the following people. If you're a crypto day trader, please go somewhere else, right? 85, 90% of you lose money. And I don't like being around people that lose money. It's bad mojo. If you're looking to get rich quick, go somewhere else. Those people lose money on a regular basis. If you want to get rich quick, someone will sell you that somewhere else. We are here for the next 10 years to create generational wealth, right? My pledge is to create $10 billion of wealth for my students and my academy members over the next 10 years. And we will do it. This is not for people that love meme coins and internet trolls. These aren't for blockchain fanboys that love the science of the blockchain, or for crypto academics. I'm looking for people that are ready to pull the trigger and make some money. That's why we're here. Anybody here want to do that? Raise your hand. Anybody here want to do that? No, not everybody. Graham's like, nah, Brian, I don't need more money. More money, more problems. Okay. And by the way, this is your Wealth Academy journey. Potentially, we have a lot of things going on. We usually kick people out with something called our Wealth Accelerator. This gets you into the mindset of money. A lot of people subconsciously are sabotaging themselves when it comes to money. Raise your hand if that might be you. Have you ever done that in the past? Yeah, be honest. That's true. We all have, right? You don't just think you deserve the money. A lot of people are like, have opportunities to make money and they always screw it up for themselves. So our Wealth Academy does that. We've got our Crypto and DeFi Accelerator. We have our Kings of DeFi Advanced program. And for those of you that like traveling on private jets, that's what the investment club is for. And so, like I said, behind the scenes, we're here to make a lot of people a lot of money. And it all starts with this process. It all starts with understanding wealth. And again, it's not just about money. Wealth is so many things. Wealth, at the end of the day, is your ability to live a fulfilling life and serve those around you. How many people agree with that? That's what it's about, right? I'm not talking about having the Lambo to run around the block or having a bunch of money in the bank. I'm talking about you being the best version of yourself. How about 1, you don't complain about money all the time? How about that? How about 2, you're out there doing big things, investing in great companies, all of that stuff, right? That's what we're talking about. And my assistant Julian's about to hit the gong here because somebody here just joined the club. There he is. Take a bow. So we always hit the gong when somebody just joined us here. So congratulations if that's one of you. Folks, that's really what we're talking about here. You can join us at londonreal.tv/DeFi. That's our journey. And now I'd love to go some questions and answers. Again, really appreciate everybody here. We've actually got Martini here as well. So let me just let her jump in here and tell you how you can maybe contact her if you're looking to have more questions, maybe get in on this emergency call next week. But Martini, let me pass it over to you, and then I'll come back and answer some questions.
Yes, yes. Well, it was so good to connect with everybody, and thank you for choosing to spend some time with us today. And hopefully you were able to pick up some amazing gems and get some, I guess, hope, hope for the future and different avenues and ways in which you can take your financial freedoms back. And so what I love what Brian said earlier is that Web3 gives us our freedoms back, and the metaverse is the future. So I definitely agree with that. And so do the hundreds of students who have come through our Crypto and DeFi Academy going into Kings, as well as the Investment Club. Here, we definitely believe in giving financial freedom back to the people and teaching you step by step and having hands-on experiences and ways in which you can do that. So if you are serious about building this generational wealth and learning different avenues in which you can create that financial freedom for yourself as well as for your family, we are here to support you every single step of the way. So I went ahead and put some links inside of the chat here. For those of you who are interested in joining us in the Crypto and DeFi Academy, I went ahead and put that link inside for you to take a look at the information page. So you're going to basically see what we are doing or how we can best support you for the next 4 weeks. For those of you who are new to the crypto space, that's okay. You're going to learn from the very beginning what it's all about and simple steps as to how you can get yourself set up for success. And for those of you who are more seasoned in the space, that is okay. We've got something set for you as well. And my personal favorite modules for you guys who are more seasoned in this space are definitely going to be modules 3 and 4, where you're going to basically be learning different avenues in which you can create different profits or different ways of earning an income through crypto and DeFi, as well as learning some of Brian's personal routines that he does when it comes to what he's doing in the space. So you're going to be learning from the OG for sure. So after you've taken a look at the Crypto and DeFi Academy page, just go ahead and book a call with me if you have any additional questions. Okay, so no question is too small or too simple. We definitely want to support you, with that. So if you have any questions about the course or how we can support you, definitely go ahead and book a call. The next thing is, if you don't see a time that's available, because I know Brian's got us spread out all throughout the land, if you want to go ahead and connect with me on Facebook and send me a private message just to let me know who you are, where you're from, and the most convenient time to connect with you, I'll definitely do my best to accommodate. And of course, there's always email. And like Brian said, for the call, the emergency call that we're having on Wednesday, which I am so excited about, Brian. I'm so stoked about this call. But for those of you who are wanting to get in on that call, go ahead and send me a private message on Facebook, or go ahead and send me an email, and we'll get you links for you guys to go ahead and hop on and enjoy the fun and see what we do in the investment club. Lots of exciting stuff. So once again, I hope that you guys had an amazing time today and picked up some serious gems that can support you and your family in the future. But don't let it stop here, guys. Don't let it stop just for the information. Get in the arena and let us support you every step of the way. All right, guys, we hope to see you on the next live call. And back to you, Brian.
All right, give it up for Martini. All right, she's making everything happen behind the scenes, and she is kind of the gatekeeper, especially for our premium products like the Investment Club and Kings of DeFi. You have to book a call with her. I would say if you do get on the phone with her, make sure you don't waste your time. Make sure that you're really serious about joining something, because you might regret wasting her time. Also, Martini is investing alongside of us on those deals that I mentioned. She's in Zarka. She's in a bunch of the others as well. So she invests alongside. Look, I really appreciate so many questions that are coming in here from Ulrich and Joe and Graham and Cash and a bunch of people here. Some interesting questions. Ulrich said, would you suggest studying at a university? Quite frankly, no. I don't think these universities get it. Every time I create a course, my old university, MIT, actually, I see it on Instagram. They're selling like a crypto course. The problem with universities is this. They actually, what do they say? Those who can't do, teach. And the professors at these universities aren't actually in the field. Does that make sense to everybody here? They're not investing. They're not talking to the people that I'm talking to. They're not putting skin in the game. They're like professors that are used to telling undergraduates what to do and think with their lives. So no, I don't think that's the best way. You want to learn from someone who's actually doing it, who hangs out with the biggest players in this space, and who's literally putting skin in the game and writing checks into these companies. So yeah, I actually think university is a terrible way to learn this stuff. So that's what I would say. I got some people that are big fans of Pena, Kiyosaki, Joe Dispenza, Grant Cardone. I feature all those people in my Wealth Academy because I think they think about money really differently. We got just fans around here as well. Some people worried about CBDCs and the Fed for sure going forward. People asking about how they can be on this call next Wednesday and how they can invest with us in the investment club. Again, Martini can sort this out. Stephanie was saying, how many hours do we have to put aside for investing and learning? You know, for the crypto and DeFi course, it's 2 hours a week for the phone calls, and it's another, say, 4 hours for the work. So if you can't put that in, then you're not serious about being wealthy. So definitely don't join us, but it's all very doable, actually. It just means more, you have to face your fears and just do it. Usually most people just procrastinate and never get anything done, but we have a tremendous amount of success with everybody that goes through this. People are asking about AI. AI is going to change everything. It's going to change absolutely everything. And if you don't have an investment in AI, I think you will become irrelevant and your portfolio potentially will be irrelevant. So you have to learn about this stuff now, folks. I mean, we're running out of time. You know, I've said 2023 is the year of AI, and that's all related to blockchain and metaverse. If you're not invested in these companies or aware of what's going on, like, it's all going to be over very soon. I'm talking within a couple of years. So we're working really hard right now to make sure we're positioned in AI and the blockchain and metaverse as well. And that's why we're looking at all of these deals, and it's all related. AI is highly related to the metaverse, to the blockchain, and it's all related to our freedoms and freedom of speech. And that's what's really important to me, especially with my two boys as well. So look, some other great questions here. I've actually got to speak to a former CIA operative right now on the show. So I'm going as John Kiriko. He's got all sorts of really interesting stories, also says a lot of what's going on behind the scenes, whether it's in Ukraine or in China, what's going on with these blockchains and what's going on with artificial intelligence. So I'm going to go talk to him. Again, I get to speak to a lot of different people, and you get to see the interviews, but then behind the scenes, they tell me even more. And that affects a lot of our investment decisions that we're making as well. People ask me about the FedNow system. How many people are aware of the FedNow system that's now in place? Anybody concerned about the FedNow system? Yeah, this is not where we want to go, folks. This is not where we want to go. The CBDC is basically has nothing to do with freedom. And we've seen what they do, and the digital yuan has been rolled out to, I think, about 200 million people in China. And it's worse than even the most dystopian ideas of it are. You know, do you really want the federal government tracking your spend on every single dollar? Do you want the federal government being able to turn off or censor your currency at any time? Do you want the federal government to basically maybe change your permissions with some social score based on what you've been spending your money on, including potentially money that you've spent against a political party that's not in power? And if you don't think that can happen, you're kidding yourself, right? Again, this guy that I'm speaking to in 30 minutes was part of the CIA effort after 9/11 to spy on US citizens, right? Does anybody remember that? Right? Unconstitutional and illegal. And what did they do? They said, oh, because we're fighting terrorism, we're going to take all away your human rights. And what did they do? They violated our human rights and broke the Constitution to do it for the greater good. I don't play that. That's not the way we're going to do this, folks. And this is what they're doing now. They're ushering these things through to help you and protect you. This is not what we want to do. We do not want the government monitoring our private data, because it always turns out wrong. It always turns out wrong, right? They get co-opted and they do the wrong things with it. So we always have to fight for those basic human rights right away and say, we're drawing the line here, and no, you cannot step over it, because if you give them an inch, they're going to take a mile. And that's what's happening in China. And that's what's happening to a certain extent here. I mean, one of my guests on the show, it's Mr. Ike, always says, China is the blueprint for the West, right? China is the blueprint for the West. So look at what's happening there. It's what's going to happen here unless we push back. So for me, this is very personal. We really want to make this happen. And look, I would love to see you in our courses. The Crypto and DeFi Academy is amazing. The people you meet is amazing. The investment club, I mean, look, if you want to really generate generational wealth in the next couple of years, and you really want to focus in on 10, 20, $30 million, that's what we're doing in there. And we have the best deal flow in the world, and we're getting better and better and better. And this latest deal is just off the charts, but move fast because it's going to be oversubscribed. And I think by Wednesday night, that thing will be oversubscribed. And we've only got about $250,000 of allocation. So you want to get your piece in fast, but it's going to pop. I know it's going to pop. So there you go, folks. That's what it is. Just want to say thank you very much. Make sure you do something with this. Okay. Make sure you pull the trigger and do something, get around a peer group, find a mentor, get the education. Don't let this be a flash in the pan. And I just want to say thank you to everybody and looking forward to seeing you inside the academy. All right. Big love. Take care, everybody. Bye.